but there's something that I am very passionate about, and why is my autofocus fucking up right now? What the fuck? How's it going, everybody? This is Confuto7, and welcome to Real Talk. Now, I know it's been a while since I've done one of these, but this is probably something that I've wanted to cover for the past couple of days, and it needs to be talked about immediately because I'm afraid that people are going to ruin something extremely special, and that's what's probably going to happen if I don't say something now. So, not that like what I say is really going to make a difference, but I want to get my 2 cents in, talk about what's going on, and I want to talk about Resident Evil 7. So, for those of you that have no idea about Resident Evil 7 yet, the demo came out in the trailer, and it is nothing like the Resident Evil franchise. I will admit that. I know a lot of people are up in arms on the Facebook page. I read the comments. I read all the Resident Evil comments on their page and all that other stuff, trying to get some feedback on what people said. Now, the subreddit actually is saying that they're pretty excited, which is great news because it's great that the subreddit is really excited for a game that's going to be a little bit different. Actually, it's going to be very different compared to what they used to do, but hopefully it's in a good direction. It looks like it's going to be in a good direction, but there are people on the Facebook page that are like, I'm not going to buy it because you're taking away from the franchise. You know, it's like, how is it so bad that you're not going to buy it? Now, we all know for a goddamn fact that you are going to buy this motherfucking game. Let's be real here. You're going to bitch, scream, and moan the entire time, but once release date happens, you're going to buy that game because you want to make sure that you were right. So, either way, Capcom still wins. So, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about what is so different. Okay, first off, they're doing first person perspective. First person perspective. So one of the things that a lot of people are upset about is that it's going to be a first person perspective. Okay, why is this such a huge deal? They already put it in over the shoulder since 4, so why is this a huge issue now? And then, they're like, you need to go back to 1, 2, and 3. Yes, please, let's go back to the original games that had really shitty controls and bad camera angles. Let's go back to something that I never played because it was so frustrating to play that I cannot play it. There are 2 things in games that I cannot stand: bad controls, bad camera angles. Those games had both. So you bet your sweet ass that I got about 15 minutes in the game. I was like, nope, fuck that. So, there's that. Everybody's talking about, oh, first person, it's going to be so terrible. They just want to immerse us in the game. Um, I'm sorry. I'm really pissed off about this. Because it really it looks like it's gonna be a fantastic game. It looks like it's well made. The graphics are phenomenal, phenomenal. The way that the structure is in the game, the sounds, they're so immersive. It's unreal. And I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, over the shoulder wasn't that big." It's the same thing except for you're in first person. So all of the models, everything is good. Like, you can't see behind you, so you can't rotate the camera behind you while still going in a separate direction. That's fine by me. In fact, if you want, and that's another one of the arguments that everybody's been saying. They're like, it wasn't a horror game; it was a survival. And like, really, come on, people, you got some serious issues if you're gonna argue that. Like, it's always been in the horror genre, and now they're actually trying to focus more on it. And to be honest with you, now is the perfect time to do it because there aren't any games coming out recently, as far as I know, that actually proved to be a promising horror game. I have not seen a good horror game that actually scared the shit out of me about 10 years at least. At least. I haven't played any games that really scared the absolute shit out of me. Like true horror, like true scared. You know, we're about due. And Resident Evil 7, it's not the hero that everybody wants. It's the one that everybody needs. You can argue that all day if you want to. That's fine. But, I feel personally that the first person's perspective adds to the horror, makes it much better. why would we want to do over the shoulder? Like it's almost the same thing. So I don't understand what the huge deal is with that, because even the over the shoulder in 4, 5, and 6, you still couldn't look behind you. So what difference did it make anyways? They're just moving the camera, well, depending on what angle you have, 2 feet over and 1 foot ahead. That's all they're really doing. So what is the huge issue here? What's the big problem? And they're gonna be like, "Oh, the puzzles," and I'm so salty. I'm doing all these faces, but you know, the great thing that I liked about the demo was there were multiple endings. I think Capcom said there were 4 or 5 endings in one demo. 4 or 5, not 4, 3. I don't even know what I was doing there. But 4 or 5 endings just for a little demo that would have taken 10 minutes to complete. That's amazing. That's astounding that they actually did something like that. And the only thing that compares to that is PT, and that was scrapped. So, you know, they're picking up where Konami was dropping off. They're using excellent graphics, some great environment. The crazy thing about it was how small it was. That's the only like tiny worry that I really have about the game, is if the map is incredibly small, which they said that it was going to be a mansion, so it'll be about Resident Evil 1 style. And I'm not quite sure how zombies are going to fit into this. If it's going to be zombies at all, I'm not quite sure. But from what I understand, it looks to me like it's a solid game. It looks like it's going to be very well put together, very well thought out. It's definitely going to be a change of pace. And I think, in reality, for all the people that are still watching that were very pissed off about what I just said for the past 7 minutes, I gotta say, I think the real problem of it is that you are scared of change. You are scared of the game changing, whether it be good or bad. Because we've had that happen to us in video gaming history, where they've done a lot of changes for the worse. So I can sympathize on that level. However, it looks like, from what Capcom's been doing, is they have been moving in the correct direction. They've been doing a stellar job, I feel. The demo looks good. The only thing personally that I would be afraid of is how the story is. The story going to tie in with Resident Evil? Now, I know a lot of people are going to be like, it's not a Resident Evil game. You know what? They already licensed it. They already bought the name, copyrighted it. There's nothing else they can do at this point. The only thing they could really do is if they bought a copyright to another title and slapped it on there instead. But it's already announced as Resident Evil 7. So again, it's, damage is already done. It is what it is. But, I kind of feel like the same exact thing happened between 3 and 4, Resident Evil 3 and 4, where they were like, over the shoulder, who is, suck. And then it was like, way better. Like 4 was the first Resident Evil I actually played, enjoyed, and beat all in one go. That was my favorite. I've played it through about 15, 20 times, actually, to be honest with you. Back when my nephew was just a little kid, he would watch me play. And it was an excellent game. He wanted me to play it over and over and over and over again. So, after about the 12th time, I was like, dude, I can't do anymore. Like, I'm gassed. Buying it for the PS2 was probably the greatest thing I ever did. 5 and 6, kind of, we don't even want to talk about 5 and 6. Revelations 2 wasn't bad. That's on my channel. It wasn't bad. It wasn't particularly great, but it wasn't bad. I mean, it definitely could have been improved on. But, with this new installment, I hope that they add something a little bit different. We didn't get to see any gunplay, so we didn't really get to know, like, how the guns are going to work in terms of... Some people might be wondering what I'm talking about, but, gunplay in first-person shooter, it's you got to understand how the gun works. Actually, to be honest with you, I don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about. But I guess what I'm saying is we didn't see any guns. are we going to have guns? That's what I mean by gunplay. How powerful are they going to be? How, like, reloads and all this other stuff, like, how tactical are we going to have to be with the ammo? Like, how smart are we going to have to be about the ammo? How often are we going to get ammo? Is it going to be extremely rare, or is it going to be pretty common? Because we all know that that's what happened over time with Resident Evil, is the ammo started becoming more abundant, excuse me, and it became much more actiony. Whereas before, in the first one, in the second and third Resident Evil games, you actually had to kind of conserve your ammo a little bit. You had to be smart about it, and there was a little bit of survival in that. And I know that a lot of people they were complaining about the survival horror, because they were like, well, it was a survival first. Who said that? I want to know who said that. Did the lead developer of the Resident Evil franchise say, oh, well, we were survival first. You know, we were never meant to do horror. We just wanted to tell you a story. They don't tell you this. Like, nobody ever said that whatsoever. You just based on an assumption that it was because of how you played it. I mean, Resident Evil 4, the first time I played, yes, it was survival horror. But to me, it was more horror, and it was survival at first. But the second time I played, you know, I remember going through the first chapter with just a fucking knife. You know, you just wait until you get an opening with the enemies. You know, they'll attack while you're dodging, and then you go in and you melee, and then it procs a QTE that you attack. And that's another thing too. Like, they were like, oh, this is all new and blah, 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 blah. Not really. You know, Resident Evil 4 introduced, like I already said, over the shoulder, but they also introduced QTEs into the game. So I'm not quite sure where people are coming off from this. Maybe somebody can enlighten me, and try not to be a dick about it, even though I've pretty much profiled you guys as, you know, being shitbags or something. I don't even know. But, you know, it's not meant to... I'm not trying to say to offend you. However, you know, coming from my perspective, watching the demo, being amazed at how much it is, and then you were just constantly shitting on it. Like, how do you expect someone to respond to that? How do you... Like, the fact that Capcom, or any developer for that matter, takes negativity with such grace, it is something that I admire. It's something that I can never possibly do myself. You know, I try to be as nice as possible on the internet. I try to. You know, that doesn't mean I succeed all the time. There are times where I become a dick. You know, I've gone days without sleep while I'm on the internet, and I've said some very nasty things. But, you know, at the end of the day, if I know I fucked up, I apologize for it and I move on. But, you know, I just don't understand where these people are coming from. That they're so closed-minded, and that's the thing. It's closed-mindedness, that you feel the need to try to shit on this game just because, you know, it's not what you're used to. Well, then go play Silent Hill or some other... Fatal Frame 2, I believe, was first person. I never played it myself, but from what I understand, it was actually a pretty scary game because it was very immersive and all that other nonsense. So it's just the thing that I'm trying to convey is I'm not gonna bitch about it. I'm actually very excited about Resident Evil 7. I hope to God, you know, I will admit, in my earlier videos, I can't even remember what videos I even uploaded to be able to tell you exactly what video I said it. But I know in one of my previous videos I said, I think it might have been the end of Revelations 2. I'm not sure. But I said at the end of it, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to cover Resident Evil 7 because I don't know how it's going to turn out. Well, I can guarantee you now that I will cover that as soon as I can. As soon as it comes out, I will start recording it and trying to get it up. But that's clear in January because that's a long ways away. I could be, you know, I planned on going to Texas by that time. So we'll see. We'll see what happens then. But for now, I do plan to fully cover it. If I could pre-order it now, I would. I think they just have the information on Steam now. They don't actually have it available for pre-purchase. But you can betcha as soon as it becomes available and I know about it, I will pre-purchase it because it looks like a phenomenal game. There are going to be more trailers down the road. There are going to be more reveals and stuff. So I could probably talk more about it later on. But for now, I pretty much think that that's everything that I wanted to cover. Just because, all the negativity and all the BS. Thankfully, the subreddit is actually pretty positive about it. They're pretty excited. I'm pretty excited too. I'm really anticipating to see what happens in the future in the coming months because it looks like a very well made game. It feels like I wasn't even playing the demo. Like, I watched a demo and it was so immersive. Just watching it was shocking. Like, I've never had a game where I was watching somebody else play and I got immersed myself into it. So that's pretty well done. It was pretty well done on Capcom's part. Good job, Capcom. You get both thumbs. Fuck that. You get both thumbs for doing such a great job. Uh, I'm excited for it. It is going to be more horror, but man, we need another horror game soon because I've been trying to find good ones lately, and I just have not found any. Um, because Resident Evil 6 was way too action packed. It just wasn't. It wasn't. And everybody wants to talk about 7 not being true to the franchise. What about fucking 6, dude? What about 5? 4 kind of stuck with it, but I mean, they did it in a good way. It was forgivable because they did so well on it. But if you got any other games you want to complain about, 5 and 6 are probably the ones you want to complain about. 5 wasn't bad. 6 was just, I don't even want to talk about 6. I tried recording 6. I got through one session. I was like, no, I'm done. Like, I can't do it. It's terrible. Sorry, Capcom. You not all games are gonna be the greatest games that you make. So that's the same with music or any other content creators. I'm sure that I have videos on here that are absolute garbage. I know that I have some on here that are absolute garbage. By the way, speaking of garbage, how about my hair? Look at that. My hair's fantastic. Decided to grow it out again, because why not? But I think that's all I want to talk about with Resident Evil 7. If you guys have any questions, concerns, leave them down below in the comment section. I think I tried covering as much as I personally know. If you know more about it, then you can go ahead and say down below. Anybody who wants to talk shit, I have filters in my comment dashboard, so I got a blacklist or gray list. I got a gray list, so try and be creative with your words so that way it actually goes past the filters. Because I have quite a few of them up there, so good luck. And for the rest of you that are excited to hear about Resident Evil 7, I will be trying to talk more about it as soon as I find out, because it is one of the first games that I've been excited about in a while, except for Dragon Ball Xenoverse, but that will be in another video. For now, I'm going to let you go because it's almost 20 minutes. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you all in the next video.